So imagine publishing a blog post today, completely ignoring it, and then, I don't know, checking your analytics like 3 years from now, only to find that that exact same post is still driving hundreds of new visitors to your website every single day.
Right, which sounds completely fake.
Yeah, exactly. On traditional social media platforms, that scenario is just, well, it's completely impossible. But on Pinterest, that's actually just how the machine works.
It really is a totally different ecosystem. I mean, you put something on X or Instagram, and you are basically fighting for like a split second of attention in a crowded room, right? Before your content just disappears into a void.
Yeah, totally gone.
Right. It might have a lifespan of a few hours if you were incredibly lucky. But Pinterest operates on an entirely different timeline because the underlying architecture of the platform isn't social at all. It's structural.
And that structural difference is exactly what we're pulling apart today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at a really comprehensive guide from the Circleboom blog, written by Arif Aktagan, on how to massively increase a blog's Pinterest traffic. It's a great piece.
It really is. So our mission today is to uncover why Pinterest is actually this hidden gold mine for anyone publishing content. And, more importantly, we are going to look under the hood at the specific automation steps. Specifically, we're focusing heavily on scheduling and RSS feeds.
Yes, the good stuff.
Right, the stuff that turns it into a completely hands-off traffic engine for you. Because, look, if you're listening to this, you obviously love learning and exploring new ideas, but you probably don't have, hours every single day to just manually promote your projects online.
Nobody does. And I think we have to start by dismantling the biggest misconception people have right out of the gate.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, most creators approach Pinterest with the exact same strategy they use for their other social media channels. They think in terms of like followers, trending hashtags, and real-time engagement.
Like they're trying to go viral on TikTok or something.
Exactly. But the source material draws a very hard line here. Pinterest is not a social media platform. It is a visual search engine. Oh, okay. So we really need to treat it the same way we treat Google.
Precisely. I mean, think about the user psychology for a second. When you open a standard social app, you are usually in a pretty passive state.
Yeah, just mindlessly swiping.
Right. You're waiting to be entertained by whatever the algorithm decides to serve you. You are scrolling aimlessly. But when a user opens Pinterest, they are in an active state. They have really high intent.
Because they type something specific into a search bar.
Yes. They are searching for ideas, solutions, step-by-step guides, or, inspiration for a specific project. They aren't there to see what their friends had for lunch. They're there to solve a problem in their own lives.
That intent completely changes the value of the content, doesn't it? Like, if I'm writing a highly detailed guide on, say, restoring an old piece of furniture, putting that on a timeline-based app is like lighting a firework.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's flashy. Maybe it gets a few likes from my immediate circle, but it just burns out in seconds. But putting that same guide on a search engine is like planting a fruit tree.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. You are planting an asset. Because users are constantly typing specific queries into that search bar, a well-optimized pin is continuously discovered by new people.
So it doesn't just die after a day.
Not at all. The algorithm doesn't care if you posted it yesterday or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It only cares if the pin answers the user's search query right now. That is why the life cycle of a pin is so incredibly long compared to a standard social post. It literally compounds over time.
Okay, so if we are in the business of planting these digital trees instead of, lighting fireworks, we need to know what actually grows in this environment. What kind of content thrives when we know the audience is searching with that high level of intent?
Well, since the audience is looking for solutions, your content has to deliver immediate, clear value. The guide we're looking at highlights several formats that perform just exceptionally well.
Like what?
How-to guides are massive. List-based posts, step-by-step strategies, tutorials, and of course, content tied to seasonal or trending topics.
Right, so things that actually help people do something.
Exactly. You're essentially offering a roadmap to whatever the user is trying to accomplish.
I buy that. Actionable content wins. But here is where I start to see a massive hurdle for the average creator or blogger. We are talking about a visual search engine.
Right.
I might be a great writer. I can write a great how-to guide, but that doesn't mean I know the first thing about graphic design.
And the visual component is absolutely the gatekeeper here. It determines whether someone actually clicks through to your blog or just keeps on scrolling past.
So what are the rules there?
There are strict visual and SEO rules that the algorithm, and honestly just human psychology, demand. First, the source notes the pins must be vertical.
Because most people are searching on their phones, right?
Yes, vertical pins take up maximum screen real estate in a mobile feed. They're basically impossible to ignore if done right. Second, the design needs to be clean.
No clutter.
Right. Overcrowded graphics with like 5 different fonts and a chaotic background will actively repel clicks. Third, the pin has to focus on a single, highly legible message.
Okay, keep it simple.
Yeah, and it needs to be supported by a curiosity-driven title. You have to create an information gap that forces the user to click the link to get the full answer.
Okay, let me pause you there and just push back on this entire workflow for a second.
Go for it.
Because I want to look at this from the perspective of someone who is already stretched thin. You are telling me I have to write a deeply valuable, actionable blog post.
Yes.
Then I have to open a completely separate design tool to create a clean vertical graphic. I have to write curiosity-driven copy. Then I have to do keyword research to make sure my pin title, description, and board names are optimized for the search engine.
Just a formula.
And I have to do this consistently. I mean, that doesn't sound like a hands-off traffic engine. That sounds like a second full-time job.
I know, it sounds overwhelming.
Doing all of this manually is a fast track to absolute burnout for anyone trying to do this solo. How do we actually survive this workload?
Your frustration is completely justified. And honestly, you've just identified the exact point of failure for probably 90% of bloggers who try to leverage this platform.
They just give up.
Yeah, they try to brute force the manual labor, they get overwhelmed, and then they become incredibly inconsistent.
And the source makes it very clear that inconsistency is the death knell for growth here.
Completely. The Pinterest algorithm rewards steady, daily activity over sheer volume.
Wait, what does that mean in practice?
Well, if you sit down on a Saturday, manually create 10 pins, dump them all onto your boards at once, and then disappear for 2 weeks.
Which is what everyone does.
Exactly.
Right.
If you do that, you are signaling to the search engine that you are an unreliable source. It actively hurts your visibility. The system wants a slow, steady drip of high-quality content.
Okay, so we have a huge paradox here. The algorithm demands daily consistency, but maintaining daily manual consistency is impossible for a solo creator without burning out. So how do we break that cycle?
We stop doing the manual labor.
I like the sound of that.
We pivot entirely to systematizing the workload, which brings us to the first major automation step outlined in the source. And this is crucial. We're talking about scheduling and content curation using a tool called Circleboom Publish.
Okay.
The first problem it solves is the fragmented workflow you were just complaining about.
The jumping between a dozen different browser tabs just to create one single post.
Exactly. Circleboom consolidates this with an image curation tool. It integrates Canva, Unsplash, and Giphy directly into a single dashboard.
Wait, really? So the design interface is actually embedded in the scheduling tool itself?
Yes. You aren't hunting for a stock photo on Unsplash, downloading it to your hard drive, uploading it to Canva, designing the pin, downloading it again, and then finally uploading it to Pinterest.
That sounds exhausting just saying it out loud.
Right. All of those separate friction points are eliminated. You search for the visual, apply your text overlay, and prepare the pin in one centralized location.
That definitely streamlines the visual side. But what about the metadata? The SEO keywords, the descriptions, the compelling titles? I mean, staring at a blank text box trying to write algorithm-friendly copy is half the battle.
That brings us to the AI component. Circleboom includes an AI pin generator. But it's really important to understand how this works because it's not just a basic text bot.
Okay, how is it different?
The AI is specifically trained on social media engagement metrics, and it actually understands the structure of a successful Pinterest caption. It can analyze the topic of your blog post and generate SEO-optimized captions, complete with relevant keywords, so you aren't starting from scratch.
Oh, wow. So it's essentially translating the human value of your blog post into the machine-readable language that the Pinterest algorithm needs to index it properly.
That's a great way to frame it.
Yeah.
And once the AI handles the translation, you utilize the scheduling feature to satisfy the algorithm's demand for consistency.
Ah, so you don't have to be there every day.
Exactly. Instead of logging in every single data post manually, you batch your work.
You know, this sounds exactly like Sunday meal prepping.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
Like you go into the kitchen once on a Sunday afternoon, you make a giant mess, you chop all the vegetables, cook the grains, and package everything up into little containers.
Right.
And then for the rest of the week, you are automatically fed without ever having to think about cooking or making a mess again.
Batching is literally the only way to survive content creation. You sit down with Circleboom Publish once a week, or even once a month. You use the embedded Canva tool to design the visuals. You let the AI generate the SEO captions, and then you schedule out that steady drip of pins.
And then the software just handles the rest.
Exactly.
Hmm.
The software releases them during peak engagement windows. You've completely satisfied the algorithm's need for daily activity, but you only spend a few hours on it once.
Okay, meal prepping is great. I do it. But I want to push this even further
Okay, let's push it.
because even with batching, I still have to show up on that Sunday to cook, right? I still have to actively schedule the pins. Is there a way to build actual plumbing, like where I hit publish on my WordPress site and the data just flows automatically to the audience without me having to open a scheduling dashboard at all?
Oh, now we're talking about the ultimate hack outlined in this guide. This is my favorite part, the strategy that turns this into a true hands-off background engine. We are talking about connecting your RSS feeds.
Yes, I think RSS is one of those acronyms people hear all the time but don't actually understand. Let's really look under the hood here. What is an RSS feed actually doing mechanically?
So RSS stands for really simple syndication. Under the hood, it is essentially a standardized XML file. Think of it as a universal machine-readable language.
Okay.
When you publish a new article on your blog, your website's code contains all sorts of complex formatting. An RSS feed strips all of that away and creates a clean, live summary of your newest content.
Like a cheat sheet for the internet.
Exactly. It just says, here's the title, here's the feature image, here's the first paragraph of text, and here's the link.
So it's a structured data feed that broadcasts your updates in real time.
Yes. So when you connect that RSS feed to a tool like Circleboom Publish, you are essentially plugging a hose directly from your blog's database into your Pinterest account.
Oh, wow.
The moment you hit publish on your website, Circleboom detects the update in the XML file, fetches that new data, formats it into a pin, and pushes it live to your audience.
You've completely removed yourself as the middleman. No post is ever forgotten.
None. Your account maintains that critical daily consistency, and you didn't have to lift a single finger after writing the original article. But setting this up does require a bit of strategic thinking. You aren't just pasting a link and hoping for the best.
Right, let's talk about that strategy, because when you are inside the Circleboom dashboard connecting this feed, what are the actual mechanics you need to pay attention to? If you just feed raw data to a visual search engine, it's probably going to look like a robotic mess, right?
Yeah, it would. You have to configure how the software maps your blog's data onto the anatomy of a pin. When you add your RSS feed URL, the system asks you to define a few parameters. First, you can add begin with and end with texts.
Ah, so you're wrapping the raw data in a human element.
Exactly. You might add a standard greeting or a specific call to action that brackets whatever the RSS feed pulls in, so it feels curated rather than automated. But the real secret sauce here involves two specific settings:
Which are?
the checking frequency and the data mapping.
Okay, let's break those down. Why does the checking frequency matter?
Well, you have to tell the system how often to ping your blog for new content. You can set it to check once a day, every hour, or even every 15 minutes.
Oh, that's pretty frequent.
Yeah, and the strategy here really depends on your publishing volume. If you run a high-volume news site publishing breaking updates, you want that 15-minute interval so your pins are hitting the search engine immediately.
Right, that makes sense.
But if you are a solo blogger publishing, say, one deep dive essay a week, setting it to check every 15 minutes is totally unnecessary. A daily check is perfect.
It's about matching the automation cadence to your actual output.
Exact.
And what about the data mapping? You mentioned mapping the data to the anatomy of a pin.
Yes, and this is where most people fail with RSS automation. The guide highly recommends ensuring you set the automation to pull 3 specific things: titles, bodies, and a photo.
Okay, what happens if I miss one of those?
If you only tell the RSS feed to share the link to your new post, Pinterest will likely suppress it. Remember, it's a visual search engine. A text link with no image has zero value to the user or the algorithm.
It's essentially invisible.
Completely invisible. But by configuring the automation to pull the featured photo from your blog, the title of the post, and the body text, which usually contains your meta description, you are automatically transferring all of the SEO keywords you already wrote for Google directly into Pinterest.
Wow. Okay. So the plumbing isn't just moving water, it's filtering it into the exact format the destination requires.
Yes.
The featured image becomes the vertical pin, the blog title becomes the curiosity-driven headline, and the meta description becomes the keyword-rich pin description that tells the algorithm exactly who to show this to.
You've nailed it.
Yeah.
You do the SEO work once on your website, and the RSS feed duplicates that labor onto Pinterest flawlessly.
That is brilliant, and it brings everything full circle to the core thesis of Arif Akdogan's guide. Pinterest should never be treated as an extra task on a daily to-do list. The manual approach is basically a trap.
It really is.
It leads to burnout, which leads to inconsistency, which leads to absolutely zero traffic.
The only sustainable way to tap into the long-term compounding life cycle of a visual search engine is to remove yourself from the daily operation of it.
Right.
By leveraging Circleboom's integrated design tools, utilizing AI to map out the SEO captions, and ultimately connecting your RSS feed to act as the permanent plumbing, you transform what used to be a chore into a reliable machine.
It's about building a system that works as hard as you do. But, as we wrap up this deep dive, pulling back and looking at the sheer scale of the automation we just discussed brings up a really fascinating and maybe slightly uncomfortable thought.
Oh, where are you going with this?
Well, we spent this entire time dissecting how platforms like Pinterest are fundamentally search engines driven by algorithms, right?
Right.
They're indexing data to serve users.
Right.
And we've just outlined how you can use tools to fully automate the other side of that equation. Having AI write the captions, generate the SEO, and having RSS feeds automatically trigger the posts without any human intervention.
I see what you're saying. The machine is basically talking to the machine.
Exactly. If we follow this logic out to its inevitable conclusion, what happens when the vast majority of content on a platform is just automated distribution systems feeding perfectly formatted data to an automated indexing algorithm?
It's an interesting loop.
Right. If every single creator is building this exact same plumbing, utilizing the exact same AI tools to optimize their metadata, how does your specific, highly personal perspective actually cut through that noise? In a feed of total automation, how does the distinct human voice remain visible?
I think it actually forces a return to the absolute fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Automation guarantees that you show up consistently, right?
Yeah.
Which gets you past the algorithm's gatekeeper.
It's easy in the ream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But once the pin is served to the user, the automation's job is done. Your unique perspective, the actual human insight contained in the blog post itself, is literally the only thing that makes them stay.
The plumbing just delivers the water. The water still has to taste good.
Exactly.
That is something to really chew on the next time you set up one of these automated feeds. We never want to go back to standing on a busy street corner shouting at people and handing out manual flyers. We absolutely need the leverage that automation provides, but we have to ensure that the automated systems we build are amplifying a voice that is distinctly, irreplicably human.
Well said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take these strategies, build your plumbing, and go plant a few of those digital fruit trees today.